Good. Oh, we're already off to a rocky start. I just updated this and I forgot to go Tuesday. Boom. There we go. It's Tuesday, folks. It's Tuesday, October the 6th, 2020. Yo. How are you? Hope you are well. It's a busy morning. In case you were wondering, I just rushed back up here because Lucy the dog had another bad morning in the office, just feisty and barking and annoying. So I had a quick 25 minutes. So I ran her home and ran back so that we could do the remodeler show in peace. And we're going to start it off with this.
Welcome to the Remodeler Show, hosted by Kyle Hunt.
Okay, now we can officially start. Yesterday's show was a bit of a smorgasbord of topics. I had received them from a couple clients who submitted stuff, kind of some last minute questions that a few people posted, and a few other things that just came to me as people were leaving comments. I walked away from yesterday's show going, wasn't a great show. But as I've been talking with some of my clients and hearing from a few people today, turns out people got some good takeaways from yesterday. So that's good to hear. You put things out there, you never know how they're going to land. And I'm kind of doing a little bit of a reprise today. The description said a potpourri, a variety of topics. And I'm going to start, where am I going to start? I'm going to start with a kind of a quick and easy reminder. And there we go. We got the chime. We're chiming. We're ready to go. The first topic is, it is October, and it is a really good time to sit down and meet or Zoom or phone call with your CPA, your certified public accountant. At the start of this year, or whenever you ended up getting your business taxes completed, you made some assumptions. You projected, hopefully, what your sales are going to be this year. You evaluated your federal and state withholdings for last year and set some expectations for this year. You've probably been paying normal payroll taxes and or quarterly state and federal taxes. This year's been wonky. And what I see too often is that instead of having the conversation in September or certainly in October, y'all wait until December. And then we have this conversation with our CPA. We're scrambling to show things. The CPA is like, well, you're actually showing that you're going to owe X amount. Or, hey, have you thought about buying a truck? Or blah, 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 blah. And we start flailing away. To avoid the flailing and also to 5P this, proper preparation prevents poor performance, I would recommend you sit down with your CPA soon. I have a couple other thoughts, but this worked yesterday. Hey, all y'all watching this live, I see you. Can you click like? Can you give Kyle some likes, please? That way more people see it. And you guys follow directions very well. Or like it if you even like that comment. Like, that's a good reminder. I just sat down with my CPA, just phone call yesterday. He looked at my books. I've got them 100% reconciled and organized through August. I've got a bookkeeper that helps me with that. It was one of the better decisions I made in my business, not have to deal with that anymore. And I went into that meeting thinking, okay, I think I've been withholding enough, and came out of that meeting going, that didn't go as well as I thought. But I've got months to plan for it now. I'm already making adjustments. I'm already saying, okay, we're going to hold off on that, and I need to save some for this or whatnot, right? I have time, and that gives some peace of mind and allows us to organize ourselves better. Okay, so meet with your CPA. One secondary thought on that. Are you happy with your CPA? You don't need some kind of miracle worker, but you certainly need somebody that is an expert, that can offer you advice, that can offer you solid ideas, that can teach you. You should not sit down with your CPA and leave that meeting with a bunch of questions. Ask those questions. Say, I still don't understand it, John. I still don't get how this and this play together. I still don't understand how that blah, blah, blah works. Make sure you're asking the questions and having them teach you. And if they teach you the first time and you still don't understand, you explain it again. You don't need to be experts on how to file all of your taxes. You pay them for that. But you do need to be knowledgeable on how all of these things work together, how your tax bracket works, how saving in a simple IRA is more tax advantage than a Roth IRA. But long term, fill that Roth first. You need to have the confidence in understanding how all these things play together. Again, don't need to be an expert and don't need to know how to, fill out page 3.32, on there, but you do need to understand how these numbers play together. A remodeler who understands how their taxes work, how they are taxed, how to tweak those different levers and understand the impact of different things is a remodeler who's going to understand their numbers overall and be more profitable and feel more in control of their business. Okay. Enough about CPA and accounting, Kyle. That was super boring. Give me something that's not so boring. Okay, I will do that, my friends. By the way, none of you are following directions today. Nobody clicked the like button when I said, can you give this video a like? Nobody did it. You can also comment. I love getting comments. Maybe you have just a random question for me today. I would love to field that question. Okay. Next up is a piece of content that I wrote up this morning. We're all content creators. You are a content creator. Certainly, that's a big part of my business, but also it needs to be part of your business. And as you're just out there navigating things, think like a content creator. Look for examples that you might spark a little bit of inspiration and something that you can write up, something you record via audio or video. This morning, I'm driving from dropping the kids off and then to get to my office. And there's a big landscaping project that's been going on for the last couple weeks. And as I'm driving by and Lucy's sitting on my lap and, it's all cockamamie, I saw this boss, I'm just going to call him, this man walking up the driveway to this job site. And immediately, I just the way he was carrying himself, he had paperwork, he looked kind of busy. I thought to myself, as he's walking up there, he's about to greet a couple of his team members that are up there. He has a lot of power. He can ebb and flow their day. He can either approach that job site and be encouraging and show kindness and appreciation. He can effectively motivate them to light a little fire under their butt to kick them into gear. He can provide clarity on what the next steps are in the process. He can make sure he's setting his team up for success. And he can really make his employees and his trade partners' days soar and go better. He can also make life miserable. He can take what he was cranky about, that argument he had with his wife this morning, the kids that weren't behaving, and let that affect him. That material that he was expecting to have in tomorrow so that we could start the next job that isn't, and he can unload on his team. He can be negative. He can be discouraging. He can rant and rave. He cannot be prepared for the day. He cannot have the plan in place for the upcoming week. You have a lot of power as the owner of the business. Your project manager has a lot of power in the way that team that's working on that project feels. And I just want you to be more cognizant of that, more aware of that, and be more thoughtful about that. Couple comments that I had as people commented on that post that I just kind of reviewed with you. Jim said, words have power to change reality. And that's very true. And then Tony mentioned this. He said, evaluate the situation first before just reacting. In the past, and maybe not so distant past either, way to own it, I'd react first before evaluating the situation. I'm trying to better understand their point of views and build them up better. Still not the best at it yet, but it's something that I'm hearing in that comment that he's working on, that he's aware of. I think sometimes we do things we're just not even aware of the impact that they have. Thanks for the reminder. I need to work on this, says Rhonda. Absolutely. In fact, it's my pleasure to give you that reminder, Rhonda. All right. So I had those. Another thing that kind of I wrote down that's kind of related to what I just mentioned and what Tony really in particular just mentioned is seek to understand. Seek to understand. Okay, so somebody asks a question We see something we don't like on a job site. We see something on a design that's done that we didn't like. We're looking and reviewing an estimate or proposal that one of our team members did, and we want to just immediately go, I wouldn't do it that way. I don't think that's right. Da, 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 da. You got to seek to understand. There is great management that comes from when somebody asks you a question or you want to approach and give feedback on something, to first ask a few questions. So how did we arrive at doing it this way? Or, what are you guys thinking of doing next? Or how are you kind of thinking of fixing this situation? One, it allows them to step up. Whoever's on your team to step up. Whoever you're talking to is to step up. And it gives you more clarity on what's going on in their head. They might say, I just totally botched that. I didn't even think of that. Okay, so what would you do next time? There's so much good management that can come from just asking questions. We don't ask enough questions, especially when you're like some of you guys. I'm not that smart, but some of you guys are wicked smart. Wicked smart. My boy's wicked smart. It's a movie quote. I think I've mentioned that on the Remodeler Show before. It's from Good Will Hunting. Anyways, look it up. Wicked smart. SMARRT. Sometimes when we already know the answer before they even kind of present something, we just want to jump and fix it. That's not going to grow your team. That's not going to be encouraging to them. And oh, by the way, sometimes you learn something through those questions that adjust the way that you would give feedback. Management, ask questions, seek to understand, seek to understand. I'm going to say it again. Seek to understand. There's great power in doing that. Okay. So we've talked about meeting with your CPA. We've talked about being more cognizant and aware as you approach your job sites, that you can either encourage or discourage your team. Talked about seeking to understand. I had a client that approximately 40 minutes ago asked me this question. He's close to sealing the deal with a new employee. And he said, hey, Kyle, do you think I should keep recruiting? Like, do you think I should add another person after I add this person? And knowing where he's at in the business, knowing his backlog of work, knowing kind of the trajectory of the business, my immediate answer is, not quite yet. I think it's going to be good for you to get another person on the team, see how that feels, give that a little bit of time. That was my immediate reaction. But as I thought about it a little bit more, especially his question, should I keep recruiting? The answer, if any of you are asking the question, should I keep recruiting? The answer is yes. That teammate you have, that teammate that you're thinking about bringing on that gave us 2 weeks notice that's supposed to start next week, things might change. You might continue to sign work and say, you know what, man, I wish I would have been interviewing this whole time. And what's the worst case scenario? You set up a time to meet with somebody, and you invest that time in getting to know somebody, doing an interview. Hopefully, if you have a good process in place, you're protecting your time and have a couple steps and hoops for them to jump through before they get to you or before they start to, you start to invest some time in it. And you might have to say, I just really like what I'm hearing, but there's been a couple little shifts and we ended up hiring somebody here recently and we're just not ready to pull the trigger on another hire right now. But I'm so glad we met because that could change next week. That could change next month. I mean, imagine having a list of a few different people that you could contact that you've already had, a conversation with. Always be recruiting. Always be recruiting. So that's a key thought there. And then a follow-up to that. But I can't follow up without a little chime. A follow-up to that is my client that I was just referring to. He's reeling him in. Very excited about it. He's a lead carpenter, and he gave us 2 weeks notice. He's leaving the same company that my client, that my remodeler left many years ago to start his own business. And he heard through the grapevine that the boss man asked the person that is giving us 2 weeks notice in for a meeting just to kind of talk. Hey, what went wrong? But that could also turn into, maybe you should stay. Let me sweeten the pot a little bit. There's a lot that could happen in that meeting, right? And my client's out here, he's kind of reeling him in. They've agreed to an hourly rate. They've talked about it. They know each other. There's some good, solid know, like, and trust built. But, he hasn't brought him into the boat yet. That's a fishing analogy in case anybody's wondering. Reeling in and then bring him into the boat means they've actually signed and they started working for you. Bingo. Probably just technology hunting, because I know a lot of you are excited, at least in the Midwest, out West. It's deer season coming up. Some of you are already checking out of work a little early. But he's reeling it in. And my encouragement for him is, dude, just like you are working so hard to sign that new project, talking about your points of difference, explaining your process, talking to them about how you're going to do a fantastic job, talking to them about your job site cleanliness, answering all of their questions, making them feel very comfortable. All of the work you do to sign a new client, a new project, you got to put that same gusto into bringing on a new employee. One of the action steps that we came up with after that conversation of, he's going to sit down with the boss man, and, he's gave us 2 weeks notice, but we're still, 6-7 days away, and at this time 9 days away from his start date. You got to sell him, man. He's going to create a Loom video, Loom, a Loom, Loom video. And he's going to show him some chief architect drawings of this project that he's going to have him start. There's 3 bathrooms. He's going to have him start. He's going to get him excited about that. He's going to flip that camera back and say, look, I'm super, super excited about you joining the team. Just to go over what we've talked about, X amount per hour. We do the 3% company match. And beyond that, I'm really focused on building a culture and a company that you're going to really enjoy your work. You're going to feel rewarded. You're going to feel valued. And I'm just super excited to continue to build the company and the team with you alongside me. Looking forward to it. Be proactive with it. Sell the benefits. Remind them of the benefits. We've got to be recruiting, and we've got to put effort into that. So that was another little ditty that I wanted to share with you. Okay. So that little segment was, yes, always be recruiting, and also sell them on it. Comments, some questions? Bailey said, how's your boss, Bailey? Does he make your day encouraging or discouraging? Aside from meeting with a CPA, what are some other fourth quarter, end of year things we should be thinking about? Client gifts, other things? Good question, Bailey. I feel like Bailey's actually asking that in her role within the business, because it's probably something that we need to be thinking about at Remodeler Marketing. I have for the last 4 years said to myself, I should do something nice for my clients at the end of the year. I should send them a card. I should put a little gift together. Probably the last 3 years I've been thinking about doing that. I'm 0 for 3. 0 for 3, 100% failure. So yes, Bailey, we should be thinking about that. What kind of little client gifts do we want to be doing? It's October. It's going to be coming in a hurry. Do you want to send a Christmas card? If so, start planning it. Or do you want to send a Thanksgiving card? Do you want to get that out before all the rush of other cards so it stands out a little bit more? Do you want to actually gift your client something? If so, what's your budget? What are you going to do? How are you going to send it? Start planning for that. What are some other fourth quarter, end of the year things? When I get into the fourth quarter, especially November and December, it's just a great time of the year. If you're that whole New Year's thing, and especially this year, there's a fresh year coming up, a fresh year. Evaluating your goals and your objectives and what you tried to accomplish this year, starting to think about next year. I actually just had this thought yesterday of going, I need to just take a day, carve out a day, find a day, schedule a day. That's what it's going to take sometime yet this year, and just have it be a thought day, a strategy day. How's this whole thing going, Kyle? How's the Remodeler Show? How's your podcast? How's your one-on-one coaching load? How about these courses? What about Remodeler's Autopilot? How's your employee situation going? How's the financial side? You evaluate the business. We've got to carve out time for that, for some strategic thought. So yes, Bailey, there's a couple things. Good question. I wonder if anybody else has any comments or questions, or even a takeaway from what we've covered so far. All right, let's see what else we got on here. I mentioned Loom, Loom, Loom. Go to loom.com. It's like that. It's like Zoom with an L. And you can click a button. You can be showing your screen. You can be showing your video. And when you get done showing whatever you're showing, you click a button and it creates a link. No downloading it, no uploading it, just super quick and easy. If you are doing a revised design, you could set up a time to meet in person. Oh, but they're out of town next week, Thursday, Friday. How about the following week? Maybe next Tuesday. All of a sudden, the cycle time, the time between the time that you sign that design agreement and the time you sign that contract, continues to extend out. Loom is a great tool. Zoom also, but Loom is a great tool to record and say, hey, we made some revisions to the design. I want you to So it's got a little bit of different look at the corner there. And then this iteration is the other thing that we talked about. As you evaluate these, I'll attach the PDF also in the email I send. Let me know which option you guys want to go with. We'll talk soon. Click, done, out. Reduce cycle time. Keep that ball in their court. Keep it coming back and keep moving it ahead, moving it forward. There's just a ton that you can do with Loom. It's quick. It's easy. It's very effective. So that was another thing that I wanted to emphasize on today's Remodeler show. What else we got? I was talking to another client, and he's been beat up a little bit lately, just kind of feeling overwhelmed. And I just paused and said, you know how those clients are signing with you? Don't take that for granted. Like, that's a really cool thing. In order for them to sign a contract with you, you have built know, like, and trust up. You have proven your value to them. They like you. They're excited to work with you. They've chosen you over anybody else they could have gone with for this project. You've sold them on the value of it. And so often we just focus our attention on the ones that got away, on the snide comment that somebody left, or the crickets that we hear on another prospect that's refusing to get back to us. How about we focus on the stinking ones that you've signed and the fact that they trust you, they like you, they are excited to have you and pay you to do their project for you. They believe in you. So I think that's something that we sometimes lose sight of. Like I said, a potpourri of topics today. Back to the title screen. It's Tuesday the 6th. Yo. What's your goal this month, by the way? Not what's your 10 goals, but in the month of October, what's your goal today? What's your goal this month? What are you going to get? What's something that's kind of on the business that you're going to get done this month? Let me know. If you could only read one marketing book ever, what would it be? Oh, who is coming up with these fancy topics? It's not popping up for me. Wonderful question. If I could only read one marketing book ever, what would it be? Hey, let me go grab some. For me, it would be this bad boy. Oh, Dave Pollard. Hi, Dave. It'd be this bad boy. Duct Tape Marketing by John Jantsch. Mostly because it's proven, practical, simple, effective. It talks about the importance of strategy before tactics. Who's your ideal client? What makes you different? Okay. And it's also just near and dear to my heart. When I quit my job, I was working for a remodeler, handling all their marketing and advertising, managing their bath and kitchen showroom. It's going on 12, 13 years now. When I started my business, I invested some dollars to become a duct tape marketing coach. So even for me, especially, this book is near and dear to my heart. I haven't opened it up in probably 10 years. But it's near and dear to my heart because it was really the thing that allowed me to be confident as this. I used to have hair and stuff, and young buck saying, "Hey, can I help you with your business? I'm a business coach and I do marketing help and whatnot." It gave me confidence. I had a book I was selling. I had a system that I was covering. And so much of my coaching yet today is focused around, especially on the marketing side, what's in that duct tape marketing book. By golly, there you go, Dave. What's your goal this month? Oh, Bailey's on fire today with the questions. What's my goal this month, Kyle? What is my goal this month? So much of what I've been focused on, I'll mention this, a little plug. Tomorrow starts the October course. Doing 4 courses this fall, September, October, November, December. Tomorrow's course is starting about charging for design and project development. Got a good group of, I think we're up to 21, 22 people signed up for the course. If you go to remodelersmasterclass.com, you can see more details. And also just reach out to me if you want to sneak in. I think there's a few people that had thought about signing up that haven't yet. So you can still sneak in. So much of my goals have been around that lately. My big goal this month actually is to finish strong with a client that I'm offboarding. And I'll tie this goal in with something that's been on my mind lately. I am starting next month. It's cutting down. And then by the end of the year, it'll be down to 0. I have a client that has been my biggest client for the 10 plus months. There's that big chunk of money from Ari Santiago with IT Direct. I said IT Direct. One of my few non-remodeling clients, and it's also my most demanding client as far as there's just a lot of work to do. I'm kind of his de facto marketing director, and at the start of this year, as I was evaluating this upcoming year, I mean, it's just time. It's time. I got to step back from that. Got to put a plan together to replace me, which also included another hire. Their business continues to grow. I've learned a tremendous amount. Ari is a dear, dear friend. And it was just time. And I dreaded having that conversation. And I still have this second guessing of, you sure you want to do that, Kyle? You sure you're going to be all right? That's a big revenue chunk that's going to be coming out. You sure about that? But I know that it's right. I was reading something from somebody posting on the Remodelers community recently of like, hey, what are your thoughts on hiring an office manager? And the next thing he wrote is, I've been working 12, 13, 14-hour days consistently for months and months. My response to that is, who gives a rip when other people have hired an office manager? You need to hire somebody. Or are you just going to continue to do what you're doing? You think that 12, 13, 14-hour day is sustainable? How's that working with work-life balance? How's that working with relationships, right? That's tough love for that. But the nuts and bolts of it is, if you're overwhelmed, if you got too much work, if you see how certain work that you have, in this case, IT Direct, certain work that I have prevents me from doing other work that I know is more valuable, important, and areas of my business I want to focus on, you got to make a change. You cannot make a change. You can kind of continue to kick the can down the road. I could keep IT Direct for the next 5 years. I could figure it out, but that's going to prevent me from doing other things in the business and also lowering my overall workload. So when we are overwhelmed, when we have too much going on, it's not so much what are you going to start doing? What are you going to stop doing? What are you going to stop doing? What are you going to remove out of your life and business? I remember 5 years ago, I stopped doing the board of directors for Courageous Kids of Michigan. Beautiful cause. Helped get it started with Terry Hocking, a dear friend of ours. And it's this wonderful nonprofit where we put on events for kids that are seriously ill in Michigan. They go to Tigers games and Red Wings games, and we do these fall festivals and just all these cool events, giving them something to look forward to. Super weird. I remember it vividly. I'm going to stop doing that. What could be better than doing that? How are you going to justify stopping investing time in that when that is so wonderful? But I needed to step back from some things. Life was getting too busy. 4 kids, this business, We've got to evaluate what we're going to stop doing. If you're overwhelmed, if it's been consistent for month in, month out, you got to stop doing things. You got to be smarter. You might have to make investments in your business to hire people. You might have to invest in some coaching to figure out how to, starting tomorrow, how to charge for design and project development so you're not chasing every lead that comes in. What are you going to stop doing? So Bailey, that's my goal for the month, is to offboard IT Direct in a beautiful way, in a good way, in a solid way, in a way that is makes me feel good and also is solid for them, and them being just a long-time wonderful client relationship. So there you go. That's it. It's 12:30. I got to get going. I will be back at it on Thursday. Tomorrow is a course day, so no Remodeler show. I'll be back at it Thursday. What was your takeaway today? Quiet group. What was your takeaway? I'd love to see that pop in as you watch the recording or as we wrap up. Peace out.